Hello, I'm Adrienne Turner, and I'm the trainer for the Tri-County Network, and I'm excited today because I have someone who is presenting with me who will introduce herself a little later in more detail, but Kristen is here, and we are talking about remote work strategies. And this topic is very important because statistics reveal that by 2035, something as high as more than 50% of individuals will not be office-based with their teams or with their management. And so we want to provide some strategies to help individuals and leaders be successful. Now, there are some challenges as well as some benefits in remote work, and we'll get started. So let's talk about one of the benefits. 69% of employees who were surveyed cited higher productivity when working remote. And 75% of those surveyed said that the timeliness of their work improved. So certainly, if you can be successful in working remotely, then that will improve your productivity and help you to be more fulfilled in the work that you're doing. As a leader, it's important that you have the skills necessary so that you can support your remote workers so that they can experience some of these great statistics in terms of increasing their performance. So Kristen is now going to share with us one of the key strategies of being successful and how you can leverage your own self-care to succeed.
Thank you, Adrienne. My name is Kristen McGraveness. I am the Marketing and Development Manager at the Lincoln Center for Family and Youth. I've also recently taken a position with the Norristown Area School District, working with the youth there. So it's really been a great experience all around working for the company. The mission of the Lincoln Center is to transform lives and communities through education, coaching, and counseling. And basically, we do this through a wide range of in a wide range of areas, specifically our mental health services that we provide to individuals of all ages. My contribution to the presentation today is going to be from a mental wellness perspective and how remote work impacts our relationships with our coworkers, with our managers, and that ultimately affect our ability to be successful. So just so you know, personally, I am not a remote worker. I do not work from home. And technically, I'm not really a mobile worker, although I do kind of travel around a lot. But I do have some personal connections to people who work remotely. My husband works remotely. I have neighbors. I have friends. So I have a lot of anecdotal evidence that suggests there are definite benefits and definite challenges. But basically what I want to talk about is how we can work through the relationships that can be affected and impacted by work from home. And also that from a management perspective, the Lincoln Center does manage about 20% of our workforce that are working mobilely. So although they're not sitting behind a desk at their home, they are out and about all day. Their office is their car, and that presents a lot of challenges in terms of managing that staff and having that staff feel connected to the corporate culture. And for me personally, as the Marketing and Development Manager, I really have to make a special effort and be proactive about communicating with that segment of our workers. So basically, I'm going to talk about some mental health benefits and limitations of working from home or working mobily. Some benefits to your mental health are that you can be flexible in managing your time. You can work when you function optimally. If you're a more of a morning person, you can get most of your work done in the morning. You don't necessarily have to wait until everyone's at work to get started, which can really be a benefit to a lot of people. You can also avoid difficult coworkers, some people that may be intimidating or discouraging. You can avoid them and only interact with them when necessary. It's not like you'll be running into them in the halls, which can be a good benefit to a lot of people. It's also an opportunity to avoid office gossip that many people find themselves getting engaged in, sometimes reluctantly. It would be more of an effort to gossip via Slack, right? And it would be perceived as more unprofessional. So I think that's another benefit. You can also fit more personal tasks into your workday, so you have more of the week to enjoy things that you want to do, and you can use your time more effectively by exercise while other people are commuting. So those are some really great benefits to working from home for your mental health and your mental well-being, that you have more of a control over yourself, which is really great. But as we talked about, there's also a lot of limitations. So you can see here, 49% of remote workers, their biggest struggle is wellness related. 22% can't unplug after work, meaning that they're continually engaging in some sort of work activity. 19% feel lonely or isolated, which can lead to a depressed state. And 8% say they can't stay motivated, so they're having trouble actually getting started on projects. So I think that a way to first think about the limitations and how to address them is first to acknowledge them. It's really important to acknowledge the mental health limitations and realize that they exist and take a proactive approach to that. If you are used to a traditional type of work setting and you haven't been honest about the limitations of work from home, it can kind of catch you off guard and really negatively impact your productivity. So from a worker standpoint, some things that you could do to take more ownership of this and to be more proactive is you could set up a goal for your mental wellness from a remote standpoint, from a remote work standpoint. You could possibly go to a WeWork a couple of days a week. I know someone in the audience mentioned that they go to an establishment that's inspiring and invigorating and he really likes to work there. So that's a really good option of providing more social interaction and inspiration into your day rather than just sitting at home behind a desk. You could also join a group exercise class. This would be something like killing two birds with one stone. You could get socialization while at the same time you could be getting, mentally fit and increasing the endorphins to stay motivated. You could intentionally schedule time to chat with people during the day that you enjoy spending time with. Create goals, SMART goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based. So really keep those goals going on a daily basis to see chart your progress. You could set boundaries in terms of the people not staying unplugged. It's really important to set boundaries on your day. 5 o'clock, turn off your computer. Don't answer emails from your phone. Really set those boundaries. And then also try to seek out a hyper-local community of your people that you feel comfortable with, that you can go to with a question, people that you really feel have your back. If you're used to working in a traditional office setting, you probably had those people in your office that you really trusted. So having trusted confidence is really important. And then from a manager's perspective, it's really important for managers to understand the limitations of managing a workforce that is either remote or mobile. And as I said before, the Lincoln Center, we have 20 employees that are mobile workers. So that's about 25% of our employee base. And what we've learned and what we've tried to do with them is establish some support that we feel is helpful. The first one is weekly group supervision. So like I said, we are a mental health organization, so we are providing mental health care to many people in the community. And what can happen with that is we are taking a lot in terms of information, traumatic experiences, and we need to be able to sharpen our sword to be able to deal with these types of situations by having support from our peers. So the Lincoln Center has, like I said, about 20 mobile workers who are licensed, who are credentialed, and have a clinical expertise on many different situations. So we bring all that group together. We have each week a different case study where our therapists can really get the support, the encouragement that they need to be able to provide the best service to the clients that they can, while at the same time watching out for each other being affected by something called vicarious trauma, which is something that a lot of individuals find when they are dealing with traumatized individuals. Hearing stories over and over about people that have been traumatized, even if it doesn't happen to you firsthand, can have a really negative effect on your mental health. Making it presenting a lot bigger challenge to you being able to provide effective care. So we are always on the lookout for that with each other. And also we have a team that is able to provide vicarious trauma training to organizations that have direct contact with traumatized individuals. We also have an art therapist on staff who runs weekly visual imagery, meditation type groups, which is really helpful to our mobile therapists to just come in, sit down for 15 minutes before the meeting and just kind of detox and get in touch with their body and do some breathing work. And then we've had a walking club in the past that obviously not everybody can take advantage of, but we encourage all of our staff to get out there and move and walk. And then we also give our employees their birthdays off. So these are just kind of ways to build the culture, to kind of provide some really support and encouragement to this workforce that can really feel disassociated with the corporate culture. So those are just some strategies that we've used from a management perspective. We can switch this slide now. Basically, when we talk about engaging with others, I think that this is pretty much on the manager's shoulders to provide effective communication and feedback to their individuals that are working remotely or mobile. Because when you do, you need to recognize that a lot of workers feel disconnected. They have trouble sometimes staying engaged at work. They have trouble building rapport with coworkers because they're not there. They can't really manage the social cues that come from engaging human to human. And reading your boss's temperature can be really unsettling to some people because they don't know. It depends on, they could be internalizing something that's really not true. And then it's hard to not compare yourself to others and to read nonverbal and visual cues. So all of these things, if they're recognized by a manager and dealt with proactively and effectively, can really minimize some of the effects that workers feel. So managers really need to be intentional and proactive about providing clear communication and feedback to employees who are remote workers or mobile workers. And it can really create more of a culture of compassion, of empathy, of encouragement, and ultimately more productivity. And then I would just give one final piece of information or tactic that mobile or remote workers can use in terms of if they do find themselves, if you do find yourself in a depressed or lonely or isolated state, there is a type of approach called behavioral activation that you can use. You can Google it. It will walk you through some steps that you can take. But basically the essence of it is that it's a self-motivated approach that even if you don't feel like you want to be social today, you feel very like, oh, I just want to stay in bed or I don't want to interact with people, it's too much work, that you push yourself to do the things that you know you need to do, like exercise and socialize and all the things that we talked about can be the limitations of working from home. You push yourself to do those behavior actions, like just do it and then understand that the feelings can come after. Don't be completely motivated by, or don't be completely driven by the way you feel. So even if you don't feel like doing things that could help you, once you do them, you may feel better. So that's called behavioral activation, and that's a resource that anybody could use. It's free, it's self-motivated, it's something that you can do on your own in conjunction with therapy or in conjunction with any type of other intervention you have. So thank you. Now we'll turn it over to Adrienne for productivity solutions.
Yes, these are all solutions to help you be more productive. Mm-hmm. So one of the first things we have here is to be able to create a schedule or goals. And Kristen talked about that a little bit, but just to reiterate how important that is, because you can really determine how your day goes, which can then help you in the self-care areas. So because you don't have someone standing over you or feel maybe a pressure when you're in the office, you can be more lax in terms of how you are managing your work. But in fact, the better you are at setting, I would say, daily goals. What am I going to get done today based on what I need to get done by the end of the week? That helps you have some structure, and that helps you to prioritize, set the appropriate tasks necessary, add some time frame to it. I'll spend an hour on this project or that project so that you can be more efficient with your work. And when I was in corporate and around in the office, one of the things that I would do to ensure that I had time to think or to strategize or to just get some things completed was I would block off time on my calendar. I would share with you, it's important for you to continue to do that as well. As an entrepreneur, that's something that I do. I block off 2 hours to strategize because you need to have time so that you can be able to focus on what you need to get done, or maybe dedicate specifically to a project so that you know that you get it done versus just going through your tasks throughout the day. The other thing is, of course, you want to implement some processes. And I would say even go from like what's your morning routine to the first things that you manage in your office. But process is not just about how you are physically managing things, but processes around how you get your work done. What programs, what systems, what resources will help you to be more efficient. And then, of course, when you're remote, we have different ways that you communicate. So you want to find what works best for you. And the thing is, some of the tools that will work best for you, say video or maybe a chat, might be dependent on what your task is, what you're trying to accomplish, and it also might be dependent on who you're talking with. So sometimes I find it's easier, literally, just to pick up the phone and talk to someone versus try to put together, an email, which could take me a half hour because I want to make sure I say the right thing and the tone is understood, when I could just have a phone call. So that helps with productivity. But there's some times where maybe a video is appropriate. I will then video myself and send that to a client. Or you might want to do a video session with someone so that you can see them. And the more that you do that, even though you're not seeing each other physically, it really does help you to feel that you're more engaged with your team, but also can help you be productive because now you're speaking with someone, you're sharing ideas, you're collaborating, and that can help you as well. And then you have to set those healthy boundaries and habits. Kristen talked a lot about ways to manage yourself so that you can be productive in terms of self-care, but it's also important to set good boundaries and habits for your work. So for example, there was an article that was written in, I believe it was INC magazine, and they shared that through numerous studies, they found that if you get up every 51 minutes, you can be much more productive. You literally have to give your brain a rest. And so that once you come back to that assignment or back to working, you are fresh. And so I like that tip as well. And I've been implementing it over the last week and a half that I learned about it. And it works for me, And then, of course, managing distractions. So you want to practice the same habits you would in the workplace at home. And that will help you to stay on track. Now, there's some things that leaders can do. And I loved this idea. Leaders can create a social space for their remote teams to share personal information and to get to know each other. So at the beginning of the meeting, maybe take 5 or 10 minutes for individuals to share something about what's going on in their life or something that is not work related, but can help them to get to know each other better and build more trust among each other. What do you think about that, Kristen?
I think that's a great
That's a
idea.
good one.
Relationship building is really key, I think, to building the trust and to ultimately building productivity.
Yes. As a leader, you can also offer professional development opportunities. Well, Kristen shared a few that will be very helpful in terms of self-care. Here's a statistic. A staggering 76% of millennials believe professional development is amongst the most important things an organization can offer. Your workers might be remote, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't provide them with a chance to grow and to learn. And also, if they're attending live these professional development trainings, they get to network with other individuals, share ideas, learn information, not just from the presenter, but from those who are joining them as well. And then as a leader, to help your teams be more productive, don't time track them. Productivity track them instead. Religiously tracking time can make them feel untrusted, like they're being watched over. And what we've learned is that giving workers the flexibility and freedom to complete tasks when they wish, they can, giving workers the flexibility to complete tasks that they like to do increases their productivity about 35%. So let people work the way that they work. Just like in the office, we don't want to seem like we're micromanaging. And sometimes we can feel because our teams are remote that we need to check in, but that can cause anxiety for them. So focus on their projects and not so much of the time. So those are some productivity strategies that you can use. And then it's important, if you are a remote worker, to inspire your workspace. I learned this. Automatic, which are the creators of WordPress. So you know how you can build your website through WordPress? They offer their remote workers $2,000 to create a happy space. So
That's great, yeah.
All right, companies, we got to get up.
Yeah.
We got to get on it. And if your office or your organization is not providing that, why not ask? You know what? I want to inspire my space, which I know will help with my productivity. Maybe they might give you $250. Companies give money for your supplies. So why, it could be viewed as a supply. So and the other thing we want you to do is designate your workspace. That helps with your productivity because instead of just, okay, I'm getting up and I'm going to sit down at the kitchen table. Even if it's the kitchen table, find a way in that area to set up a frame of your grandchildren on that table. Maybe you have a poster on the wall near that table, but you want to have a space that is dedicated to you for your work. Kristen?
And I would also say just make it visually appealing. Incorporate things like plants that you can actually take care of and talk to during the day.
Yes.
Really like inspirational quotes. You could get pretty pictures, just some place that you want to be. It's important to make the space pleasing to you so you can do your best work. And having quotes or even like a mission statement or some branded things around what your company does can really help you to kind of create in line with what you're supposed to be doing. And having like a creative approach to anything, even something that seems mundane. When you put some creativity behind it, you can really like open things up, and things that you didn't even think were, an issue could come up, and you could provide a really good solution to something that no one thought of.
I like that you said to even maybe have the mission statement of your company visible.
Yeah.
I have my own company and I don't have my mission statement posted, but I'm going to do that because that is inspiring. It helps you to stay in line to, what drives you and motivates you in your company to do that work. Yeah. And then also, okay, you got to move.
Yes.
Got to move. But today there's so many different ways that you can be mobile, even in your office space. So you can have the raised desk that helps with comfort. The ball chairs are a lot of fun. I have one of those. I don't use it that often because I'm not used to it yet. So it feels weird. Inversion table, you talked about that.
My husband has an inversion table in his office, and like periodically he'll just get on there to kind of get the blood flowing up to his brain. And he says it's relaxing, but it feels good. But it's also just, a kind of way to not be sedentary and to kind of like move your body a little, move the blood around.
Yeah. And then chair yoga.
Yeah.
So that's as simple as, doing neck exercises. I learned that from one person. Moving your shoulders, rotating your shoulders. Move, because that gets the blood flowing.
Which releases stress.
It releases stress. The oxygen goes into the brain. It helps us think better. So be purposeful in inspiring your space. So now you have to think about what you're going to do differently based on what you've heard today, because you have to decide that you want to implement something or make a change so that you do it. We don't want to be just talking. We want you to take a step based on what we shared today. So we have one person here that looks all excited to share with us the one thing that
What's
he
your
might
strategy,
be about
Dan?
implementing.
I like the idea of deliberately getting up every 51 minutes. I mean, I sort of do a version of that, but
Yeah.
I haven't been as organized with it as deliberately with intention.
Yes.
And I also like the, well, I would love to have somebody give me $2,000 to create a happy space. So I'll ask my board about that at the next meeting. But also, I love the idea of the visible mission statement. I
Mhm.
love that one.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So everyone, this information is being recorded, so you can share it. And please feel welcome to send us your feedback. Email us with the things that you're going to do to implement a good strategy or tip or tool from what we shared today. Kristen, do you want to share something before we close?
No, I would just say I hope that you're inspired to kind of take that next step and to understand, to be able to visualize the benefits, but also the limitations, and just put a plan in place to deal with them. Or it could potentially snowball out of control.
Yes. So our email here at TCN is info@tcnetwork.org. And if you email to that box, one of us here, our executive director, Holly Parker, or Ashley Boyer, who's our manager, will provide me with that information. And Kristen, how can individuals contact you?
They can contact info@thelincolncenter.com. And we have mobile therapists who give free mobile therapy to any victim of crime in Montgomery County. We have also case managers and credentialed therapists to do that work. So if you feel like you could use that service or you know somebody, please contact us. And also, if you just want to give some tips and strategies into your
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.